Ipswich away, even at this stage of the season, is a massive game. Good afternoon. Feels big, doesn't it, today? Third versus first in the league. The best goal-scoring team against the second best attack in the league. Two young, exciting managers in the dugouts. And, of course, two sets of supporters who are desperate to see their side promoted. You feel one, if not both, of Argyle and Ipswich could well be playing in Sky Bet Championship next season. And today won't define whether one goes up and one doesn't, but it will go a long way in boosting confidence into the last couple of months of the season in this really tight promotion race. It's a real test for Argyle then this afternoon, and we're building up to kick-off at Portman Road here on Argyle TV. You can follow the game live, of course, on Argyle TV as well. And over the next 3/4 of an hour, we'll be getting the thoughts of Stephen Schumacher on what it's like building up to a game like this. We'll hear from James Wilson, the former Ipswich Town favourite, who's probably skippering the side today. And of course, we'll get all the important team news ahead of kick-off as well. And helping me through it is the former Argyle defender, Brian McGlinchey. Important one this afternoon, isn't it, Brian?
It certainly is. I can't wait to watch it, to be honest. I woke up this morning a bit excited, to be honest. This is the times when you're not a footballer, you miss it. You know, these types of games. I was reading full house, 29,000 here today. So yeah, brilliant game, and full house from Argyle supporters as well, which is brilliant.
Yeah, over 2,000 Argyle fans making the incredibly long journey up to Suffolk to watch this one. We just kind of had a little look through the highlights and the best bits from the game back here in September, and if we get anything close to that again, it'll be a special afternoon, won't it?
Yeah, it will be. Two unbelievable strikes, wasn't it, from Mumba and Whitaker. I remember because I was behind the goal for both the strikes, and it was like brilliant. Atmosphere was pumping that day, wasn't it? So, yeah, if we could replicate that today, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
I said it wouldn't define the season today, and it won't, because after this, there's still 19 matches for Argyle. There's 20 matches for Ipswich, so there's plenty of points to play for. But if Argyle were to win, that would give them a 10-point gap between themselves and Ipswich. And even at this stage, the pressure kind of goes, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it'd be more the confidence from the result rather than the gap it would give. Obviously, the gap's going to give you, gives you maybe an off day that you can maybe soak up or whatever. But I think if they went and got a result today, I think the message that would give to the teams below, the message that would give to themselves, the confidence that they're in it now. They can really go and grasp it now. It's a reality. So so that would be the thing. But I think the manager will be thinking, let's be honest, if they play really well and got a draw, that'd be still a phenomenal result, wouldn't it? Let's be clear.
It absolutely would. There's so much to get through over the next 45 minutes before, of course, the main event, the game itself. So just a little run through what we'll do. We'll hear from James Wilson in a moment, Stephen Schumacher too. We also had to sit down with Neil Dewsnip, a very insightful chat about how he's seen the growth really of Stephen Schumacher and Mark Hughes since they've come together in the Argyle dugout. We'll also be bringing you in about 25 minutes time the outcome of the Papa John's Trophy semi-final draw, which is happening at about 2:30 today. So when you're still with us, so we'll bring you that one. Argyle could potentially get one of Bolton, Cheltenham or Accrington Stanley, just one game away from Wembley. So that's coming up. But first, let's get the team news, because it's one of the most anticipated games of the season, which means it's one of the most anticipated team selections of the season. We saw plenty of changes from Stephen Schumacher made in midweek for that Papa John's Trophy win over Bristol Rovers. And he's now got a big squad to choose from, Brian. He's made 7 changes back again today. The usuals you'd expect. No Joe Edwards. What do you take out from this team?
Well, the first thing you said, and I was reading the comments of Schumacher before he came here today, and he was saying that he's got big decisions to make, even to make the bench. And that's, for me, is testament to what the club's done. They've never had a transfer window where they've actually done what they've done and went and gone and signed 4 players and made a big difference like that. So for me, that's added to the squad. Real competition for places. I think the obvious, obviously, Edwards, the change, that's forced. But looking at that side, that's probably the side I would have went with, to be honest, as well. I guess Houghton's probably, he's going to be a bit upset that he's not got the nod, but that's what you're going to have. You're going to have that. You're going to have players upset in the bench, and that's not a bad thing, because they're going to get their opportunity today. They're going to come on. They'll need the bench today, and he can come on and make a difference. But I don't see them. We were talking off air. Could they change formation? I personally don't think they will.
Well, just looking at personnel, so the conversation was around whether you slot into a back 4, and you could foresee you could do that. You could say Lonwijk's a right back, Wilson and Scar with Gillespie left back, Mumba playing one of the wide positions, Mayer the other. Odds are that they'll probably stick with a 3, you think, with Lonwijk right wing back, Mumba left wing back. Yeah, well, I'll probably say something, they'd probably do something different now completely. Exactly. But I think it'd be, to change your formation that you've sort of, it's trusted, isn't it? It's worked. To change that for such a big game would be, I don't think maybe that would be the right thing to do, but who am I to make those decisions? But I think they'll go with the 3 and have Lonwijk as the right wing back. Tariq Wright on the bench as well. His first involvement since he arrived last week, actually, from Aston Villa. And the other name, another Aston Villa youngster, Finn Azaz, back in the squad on the bench today. That is a massive boost. Maybe not necessarily for today's game, but just going forward for Argyle, isn't it? 100%. I think he's been, for a loan signing, for him to do what he's done is fantastic. I think the loan signing has been brilliant. Him being in training will give the lads a boost. And obviously the manager's got so much confidence in him to put him in the bench already after very little contact training. So for me, he's a brilliant option from the bench, and you never know, we could even see him today. Well, there's a lot to discuss around the Argyle team. We'll get stuck into it a little bit later on. Let's have a look at the Ipswich Town lineup for today's game as well then. They've also made quite a few signings this January, brought in 3 players. One of them is involved in the squad today. That is George Hurst, a striker that they signed on loan from Leicester. They've made quite a few changes as well. 7, like Stephen Schumacher. Kieran McKenna's rung the changes from their win over Rotherham in the FA Cup last weekend. Obvious sort of dangers there, Brian, that the forward lineup, Marcus Harness, Wes Burns, Connor Chaplin, Freddie Ladapo. Yeah. Firepower. Yeah, they're a good side. Let's not make no bones about it. They're a good side. I think Chaplin's won player of the month for December, hasn't he? So he's definitely a star player. They've got decent options from the bench. Hurst, obviously, he's come on loan from Leicester. They're for me, Harness at Home Park, I thought he was really, really dangerous. He's quite a strong runner, isn't he? And Ladapo, we know what he's about, don't we? He scored a bit of a fluke goal against us here, didn't he? It was a bit of a deflected, went over Cooper's head. So, but we know what they're about. Morsey's a bit of a
tiger in the middle of the park.
Going to mention the centre of midfield because Morsey is a real tiger, like you said.
Yeah.
Argyle have now brought in Jay Matete, who you'd say is not quite in the same mould, but has that bite. That could be something to watch this afternoon, couldn't it?
100%. I think that would be really key today for Randall and Matete to actually sit in there and just hold it tight, protect the back five as such, and let the flair players go and do their stuff. But you're right, Morsey. I think he maybe should have been sent off at the game at Home Park. So yeah, there's definitely been a bite in the middle of the park there. But yeah, should be a really good game. And the pitch usually at Ipswich is immaculate, so should suit a good game of football.
Yeah. The other thing just to point out with Ipswich is they've flitted between a back three and a back four a lot this season. This lineup looks as if it's a back four, two holders in Morsey and Evans, three in behind Ladapo. I suppose the fact that there is flexibility in the Argyle defensive setup, they could play 4, they could play 3/5. Maybe that is why Stephen Schumacher's opted to put so many defenders in the team, that if he needs to go a little bit more, shore up.
Yeah. You're right. They've done it at times. I think the Wickham game, didn't they? They went to a back four, so they've got that option. They've got that. So the manager's very pragmatic. He changes. He'll try and change the formation to suit the game, whatever. But I personally think they'll try and keep it tight, protect it. And I think the thing is that this crowd's going to be so up for it at the start. They're going to go for it in the first 15, 20 minutes of Switch. So it's around us keeping it really tight, trying to quieten the crowd, trying to frustrate them. And then as the game evolves, there will be spaces. And then that's our flair players to come in and the Mayors to get on the ball and make things happen. For me, that's how I would see it sort of playing out.
Lots of potentials. That's what we love about this game. That's why Brian woke up excited this morning, eh? Yeah. Well, let's hear from Stephen Schumacher now then. He sat down with me in the week to chat through what he is expecting from this top-of-the-table clash.
Excited about it. I think it'll be a great occasion. If the game's anywhere near the standard of a game that it was when we played the Mere at Home Park, then it should be exciting to watch. I watched that back this week, and yet the quality on show from both sides was really good for League One, and yet we're expecting something similar. Obviously, Ipswich are one of the most dangerous teams in the division. They've got so many good players, and defensively they're organised and solid as well as you would expect. So it's going to be a hard game, but hopefully it's an exciting one.
Do you then expect it to be like the one that was played at Home Park earlier in the season?
Well, I don't think they'll change too much about what they do. I think they've got a clear style and identity about how they like to play and how they like to pass the ball, and we'll have to figure out a way of trying to stop that. So I don't think it'll be too dissimilar to what we've seen early on in the season. Obviously the conditions might be a bit different because that day was a lovely summer's afternoon, wasn't it, on a Sunday afternoon, so conditions might be a bit different, which might make it look slightly different, but yeah, we'll go there with the same mindset of trying to be aggressive and try and go there and get a good result.
These sort of matches, obviously sides that you're in an immediate battle with at the top of the table, and probably will be throughout the rest of it, hopefully. How much do you relish that sort of challenge? That yes, it's a game, it's against a good side, but also people analyse absolutely every single point around it, don't they?
Yeah, it's a challenge, and going up against one of the best managers and best coaches in the country is good. It's exciting. It's what the games you want to be involved in. So, yeah, I'm sure it won't be all straightforward. I'm sure Kieran's watched us as well and knows that we've got our strengths and we can be a threat to them. So it's trying to figure out how you nullify the opposition and then where you feel as though you can get the better of them. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the challenge. It'll be good. The first game was excellent. It was played in a good spirit. Two teams went at it, and we come out on top. We managed to score 2 great goals and came out on top, and what a game that could have gone either way. So, yeah, it's going to be a good occasion.
I know the last couple of weeks for Nazaz has been back in and around and training. That must be another humongous boost for not only you but the squad as well, knowing that he's back.
Yeah, it's brilliant. He's a quality player, Finn, and he's been getting closer and closer to full contact training. This week he's had a full week of training and looks sharp. He looks as though he's moving okay. Obviously it's going to take him a bit of time to get up to full match speed, we understand that, so picking and choosing the right games to put him in and how many minutes he plays here and there is going to be important, but just having him available gives everybody a bit of a boost. again, because he's so important to us, and it also gives me a bit of a headache because I think I've got 21 fit players, which is the first time. This is new for me to have a full squad to choose from. I haven't got to use any real young players in the squad who are going to travel, so it's something I'm going to have to learn to make good decisions even for the bench, which is a real good problem to have.
That's a point that you were talking about earlier, Brian, that Stephen Schumacher's just mentioned.
Yeah.
Hard decisions, something he'll have to learn because he's going to have to leave players out of it. Well, he has already left players out of a squad that would consider themselves starters.
And that's difficult as a manager because he probably hasn't had those real difficult decisions to make. But you can imagine there's Butcher now sat in the stands today and thinking, no, I probably deserve to maybe be at least on the bench here, you know. So, but no, that's what it's a squad game, and I'm sure the management skills of Schumacher will come to the fore and make sure Butchers feels welcome, and because he'll definitely play his part between now and the end of the season.
And that's exactly it, because if you take last season as an example, you could see Argyle just ran out of steam, didn't they, towards the end? They had hard games, but they kind of didn't have the same urgency about their play. Ultimately meant they missed out on the playoff positions. You don't see that unless there's some ridiculously harsh injury situation that will happen this season. He has stacked the squad. Yeah.
To be fair, they did run out of legs, didn't they? They massive, great effort they did to get where they got type thing. And he's obviously going to rest players. They're going to have so much data now that they maybe have to offload players certain days, and they'll give it a right good go. Because one thing you know for a fact, obviously Ipswich have already strengthened, but Wednesday will probably go and strengthen the transfer market. So you need everyone. You need that freshness and competition for places. Everyone. Whilst you're all mates as a teammates, but you're all fighting for that jersey, and that competition for places, bodes well because it gives you that extra 10%. Because if you're thinking, right, if I don't play well, there's someone else that's going to take my shirt. It's a real good sort of ethos around the club.
On the game, then, let's look at some facts about this. So Ipswich are the top scorers in the league with 47 goals. Argyle, second top scorers with 46. So on paper, you look at that and think, right, goals in this game.
Yeah.
You then look at Argyle's last 4 away games, League and Cup, not conceded a goal.
Yeah.
The games where Ipswich have struggled, and there's not been many this season, have been against sides that sit in, catch them on the counter. I'm looking at Lincoln have taken 4 points off them this season, 1 at Portman Road, 1 all draw away from home with 10 men.
Yeah.
Made it difficult. Wickham beat them.
Yeah.
Hard defensive team. Do you think that's how Argyle should approach today, or should they play like they did at Home Park earlier in the season?
Personally, I think they've got to be, they've got to be smart and be defensive initially, but build yourself into the game. I think there's going to be a real, they're going to go for it in the first 15, 20 minutes. If they can get an early goal, so it's their tails are up, and the crowd will definitely get behind them. I did see McKenna's interview. He was talked about the fact of the atmosphere at Home Park, how good the Argyle fans were. So he's asking for the same today from his fans. So I think, Argyle need to go into the game, build a foundation for themselves, and frustrate them. And then as the game gets longer, there will be spaces, there will be tired legs, and then that's the last maybe 20, 30 minutes or so. That's when you can maybe pick them off and maybe hit them on the break. But I personally think if you go and leave yourself open, and you concede an early goal, you're chasing your tail, and for me that'd be the wrong approach.
And you said I was there last season, and Ipswich kind of did that against Argyle. It was only 1-0, but the fans were one of the loudest I've heard last season, and that's exactly it. It was always going to be an uphill battle for Argyle once they started the way they did, and Ipswich got a kind of stranglehold in the game.
Both teams have done the research on each other. But essentially, it's around those 11 players going and doing their individual jobs really well. And I guess more times than not, if the team that plays better and wins their individual battles wins the game, So hopefully Argyle will do that today, and they've demonstrated all year. And even if we don't get a good result, who cares? It's about moving on very, very quickly and getting a result in the next game.
And I suppose that is the beauty of what Argyle have done already this season. 57 points in the matches that they've played. Mm-hmm. Maybe more so than Ipswich. They could afford, not that we want this to happen, but they could afford to lose today and still be in an unbelievably good position.
Yeah. I think what will be is the result will give them confidence. If they get something in the result today and play well, it will give them confidence to go into this next, 19, 20 games with real confidence to give it a real assault to get promoted. So for me, it'll be the confidence factor, the points tally, because it's just so many points to play for yet. It's I think it'd be naive just to look at the table and go, yeah, we're safe, because football doesn't work like that.
And definitely not safe as well. Ipswich and Sheffield Wednesday have that game in hand, of course, with the FA Cup stuff, and they'll probably have another one. So, yeah, so much to talk about. We're getting closer and closer towards kick-off. We're also getting closer and closer towards the Papa John's Trophy semi-final draw, which we will bring you the result of here on Argyle TV. So don't go anywhere, because there's still so much more to come.
Bad ball in, good goal, progress into the second division.
Good afternoon, watching Argyle TV. We're building up to the top of the table clash in Sky Bet League One. Argyle's trip to Portman Road to take on Ipswich Town. I've just seen, actually, on the stream on YouTube, there's quite a few predictions coming in from guys watching it. So keep them coming in. I might read through a few of those towards the end. Lots of positivity around, which is good.
Yeah.
It's what we want. Keep them coming in. Bottom of the YouTube page. You can get in touch with us on Twitter as well, at Argyle. There's a lot of discussion on there around team news and stuff. And one of the big changes that's been made today is the fact that Joe Edwards is out of the side, suspended, having picked up that red card late on against Bolton last weekend. It means that his mate and, teammate and best mate, actually, former Portman Road favourite, James Wilson, is skipper today. How's he feeling ahead of the match?
It's a big game. I think all the boys are really looking forward to it, though. We've had a good week's preparation. Good game Tuesday. The boys did brilliant. So yeah, we're coming off a couple of good results.
Yeah, thinking about this week, because Tuesday was an impressive performance and result, and yet 8 changes were made. A lot of you weren't in the squad, weren't necessarily needed. That must be a great thing that you've still got that quality.
Yeah, definitely. I think it shows the recruitment. We've brought in some really good players. Even there's a couple of them that couldn't even play on Tuesday. So no, it's great. We've got a really good squad now, a really strong squad, and that's what we're going to need now heading into the final few months.
How do you as players find this month, January, with players coming in, rumours kind of all around the place? How do you guys find it?
It's sometimes tough, yeah, when you're, especially when you're in the middle of it, but it hasn't seemed to be that way. We seem to have done our business really early. We've got players and positions that we've needed, so no, it's been fine this time, yeah.
Speaking about this weekend, then, it's 2 sides in the top 3, 2 sides that are, clearly have eyes on promotion. Are these games you look forward to?
Definitely, yeah. These are games the game here was brilliant. The atmosphere was amazing, and I think they've sold out. So it's going to be a great atmosphere. It was last year when we played there, and but it's a tough place to go. So we're going to go there and try and get a result. Definitely. Yeah,
and you spoke about our recruitment. They've recruited early as well. They've strengthened clearly. What sort of Ipswich are you guys expecting?
They're a different Ipswich to the previous few years, I think, and they play really good football. They've got really fast movements, so it's going to be a really tough game. But we beat them here, so there's no reason why we can't beat them again.
And as you said, it's been a good week as well, and we've shown a couple of good qualities away at Bolton. Talk to us about that. That was a proper defensive win, I suppose.
It was a really tough game. I think they were probably the better side. They played some really good football on a tough pitch as well. It was a tough game, but these are results we need to get towards the back end of the season. So any point on the road is going to be a good one now.
And being able to show that you can go toe-to-toe with the likes of Ipswich and Sheffield Wednesday and Derby away and win, but also grind out results when you need to.
Yeah.
What does that say about?
Well, I think that's the most important thing, especially this season, is going to be he's going to be grinding out results now towards the end. It might not be as pretty as it was the first half of the season, but if we can keep getting results, keep getting points on the board, that's the main thing.
Captain for the afternoon, James Wilson, their former Ipswich Town player. He actually won Player of the Year before he joined Argyle at Portman Road. So he was well thought of by supporters up there. We've just spoken about the potentials around how Argyle will line up at the back and maybe having to be pretty strong and resolute at the start of the game. The fact that, him in his mid-30s, played a lot of games, Dan Scarr, there's experience back there, isn't there? And that's kind of what you need in these sort of situations, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the last couple of years, that's been the recruitment that's probably impressed me the most. Is probably the defensive recruitment. We've brought in, Wilson, Scarr. Yeah, we've brought in decent, good, strong defenders who know the game, know how to defend, and then key pivotal positions. Because I think previously we had loan signings in and around that area, which sort of wasn't great, to be honest. And I think that's what's really pleasing from the club's perspective. So yes, lots of experience, lots of communication, and even the other night against Rovers when we had not a normal back three, I thought those three were brilliant as well. So for me, I think it all starts. And if you talk to any manager, everything starts from the back, the foundations from the back. If you've got a good defensive structure, you'll win games, because you're not always going to be scoring goals, firing all cylinders, and you need to keep that clean sheet and then build from there. So that'll be definitely needed today.
We've been talking about how Argyle need to be strong at the back because we're playing against the top scorers in the league, and Ipswich have firepower in Chaplin and Ladapo and Harness, and we've gone through them.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, they'll be looking at our forward line. Ryan Hardy's got 11 goals. Niall Ennis has got 10 goals. We've got creative players in Danny Mayer, and of course Barley Mumba got the goal here against Ipswich. Yeah. They'll be worried too, won't they?
Massive. And I think what's really good, I like when Ennis and Mayer play together, and Hardy play together, is Hardy will run the channels and run in behind, where Ennis will want to get at the feet. So if you're a centre half, you're in a dilemma, which so for me it gives them options, because if they squeeze up the pitch, there's that space to hit, and if they sit deep, then obviously Mayer and Ennis can get at the feet and turn. So yeah, that's what probably the manager's hoping. Those two, Mayer and Ennis, can get on the ball in those sort of half spaces and sort of drive at their back four. So yeah, 100%, we're a massive threat. That's what we've demonstrated all year. And you're right, Mumba from the wing back position, he's been, for a wing back to score as many goals and as many assists is phenomenal, really.
He would love to score today, I'm pretty sure, as a Norwich
Derby,
loanee. Yeah, looking at that. Saxon Early, of course, on the bench, could well make some sort of impact. Thinking about attacking options as well, you spoke about Ennis and Hardy and their link-up, and I think most fans would feel that might be one of the better combinations if you do play with two, or having both of them in the lineup. But we saw on Tuesday the emergence of a new, hopefully, goal-scoring superstar at Argyle. Just heaping the pressure on you there, Ben. Ben Wayne, he had a really impressive game, didn't he? He, again, is on the bench today. He made an impact against Bolton. Cosgrove's got 10 goals this season as well.
Yeah. They've got massive options from the bench. I was really impressed by Wayne. I thought he obviously took his goal, and probably that was the harder of the three chances he scored. Potentially, you hope for a hat-trick, but yeah, really impressive on his first. It wasn't an easy night, was it? The pitch was awful. Conditions weren't great, but you're right, good options from the bench. And yeah, I think, one of the things that the manager's done well is brought the new players in early, and they can train with a new team, and good options, but time will tell.
And you also were talking about the competition for places. Having seen that performance, Ryan Hardy played alongside him, scored on Tuesday, didn't he? But Niall Ennis will be thinking, right, okay, I've now probably got to get a goal just to stay sort of up there in terms of selection. Yeah,
100%. And that's what you want, because if you're in a team and you're going to start every week, you're not going to be at it. You need that extra edge to your game, and we definitely need edge, because we're coming into games now, and because don't get me wrong, last 10 games and you can see the prize, there will be that pressure. So you need that bit of edge and that competition for places. So if you're not doing it, someone's going to come in and take your place.
Well, let's have a little listen to Neil Dewsnip, our director of football. He was speaking to me a couple of weeks ago. You might have heard the Argyle podcast where he spoke about recruitment and how they've gone about that. But he also was chatting about Mark Hughes and Stephen Schumacher and how they have developed over the last year or so. And he's also quite positive about where he thinks the club is at the moment.
Stephen's development is incredibly impressive. The maturity in a football sense has been very, very encouraging. The substitutions are not a fluke. He really analyses. He gets great support from Mark, hopefully a little bit of support from me on the mic, as everybody knows, when me and Mark are talking. But fundamentally, he makes those decisions. It's his call. His organisation of training sessions is a credit to him. The way that he talks to the players is outstanding. The days of kind of throwing cups of tea around and shouting and screaming, you know, people will see the old videos that appear these days. Those days have well gone. Stephen is part of a new breed of manager who speaks intelligently, sensibly. He can growl when he needs to, and he's certainly not a soft personality, in fact far from it, but he speaks intelligently to people, and the players respond to that, in my opinion, very, very well. So his development has been excellent. Mark's is different. So Mark is working his way through his coaching qualifications. He is getting better and better, supported by Kevin Nanscoville, I've got to say, on a day-to-day basis, an awful lot. So he's improving as a coach. He's becoming more confident. His knowledge of the game is absolutely immense. Mark's greatest asset is that his knowledge and his understanding and insight around the game is excellent. So they make a really strong partnership on a Saturday afternoon. Obviously, they're not perfect. They still need that old grey hair from time to time, but they're doing really, really well. I'm really proud of them.
We're really proud of them as well. And I suppose, Brian, if you look in the opposite dugout as well, you've got Kieran McKenna, who's a late 30s, first job in full charge, really highly thought of. Him, the likes of Mark Hughes and Stephen Schumacher are this new breed of coach, really, that's turned manager.
Yeah, 100% McKenna obviously was at United, wasn't he? He's obviously got good ground in there. But I've been, like Justin said, I've been really impressed. And he said he's a real calm and he's a real influence. But I saw some of the pictures there. He lives
the emotions.
There's a stare there as well. There's a definite. He said the word growl. I would say there's a bit more. There's very feisty to him as well. And you need that. You know, as a manager, you need to be tough and be ruthless and make decisions. I'm sure that's stuff that maybe he will probably learn more as he bees a manager. But I think it's a real good. He's brought in obviously the backroom staff he wanted, and Nance is there from previous times, he's an unbelievable guy, to be honest. I know Nance pretty well. He's so infectious, his personality, isn't he? So yeah, the player seems to be thriving in that environment, and that's crucial.
He does have a stare. I've seen it a couple of times when I've asked him a dodgy question.
I've seen the training sessions. I can tell. I can tell that. His face tells you 1,000 words.
Yeah,
really.
but he is, incredibly calm, respected bloke, and he's doing a stunning job. And as Neil says, we're very proud of him here at Argyle. Hopefully, he can continue that good form going into today. We'll be hearing from Kieran McKenna in just a moment. His thoughts ahead of this one, and we'll also recap the team news. So don't go anywhere. Right, we've spoken about Argyle quite a lot, so let's get the Ipswich Town perspective now. Kieran McKenna is their manager. As I said, he's in his first full managerial job, and like Shuey, he's looking forward to this one.
I'm focused on us, as a club. What Plymouth bring, do, what they change, don't change. My focus is on what I expect from us at the weekend. We were so excited for the game. I can't wait for it to come. The players that I see them. There's going to be a massive crowd. We want a big environment. We want everybody, on the pitch and in the crowd, all together and pushing to show our force as a club. It's a good challenge, good opponent. We respect them. We know that they've done very, very well, and full credit to them for that. Our focus just has to be on ourselves and being the best that we can be, and bringing the energy, the commitment, the quality that we're going to need to get a victory, and also bringing the resilience, that we're going to need as a team, but also in the crowd to stick together in the difficult bits, know that the opponent are going to have moments as well, and really show that energy and that togetherness as a club. So we're so excited for it. We really can't wait to get the game started, and the focus is on us and what we can bring as a team and as a club.
2 new additions for this week in training as well. How have they been?
Really good. Certainly giving the place a boost. Players are delighted to, see 2 quality additions coming into the dressing room who can help us for the second half of the year and beyond. And they've settled in straight away. It's a good dressing room to come into. I have to say, there's a good group of players in there, a good culture, a good environment, good way of working, and the new players have commented on that as well straight away. So no, they've settled in really well, and both on and off the pitch are feeling good, and we're delighted to have them.
And just finally, we saw the impact that the home crowd had when we were playing down at Plymouth. How much of an impact can the Portman Road crowd make this weekend?
Yeah, a big impact. The support has been great, and I think the games against the teams at the top end of the table, the performances, the atmosphere in general, the results have been very, very strong. We're coming off 3 home games. I thought the support against Rotherham was fantastic for an FA Cup third round, with coming out the back of Christmas and all the challenges. I thought the support was great. Oxford Boxing Day was fantastic on and off the pitch, and of course before that I think it was a big result against Peterborough. So we're coming off 3 big home wins with big crowds and good atmospheres, and we've seen the difference it can make in terms of pushing the team when we're ahead, but also the difference it can make when we have a setback like we did against Rotherham, or the Peterborough game when we conceded, and the crowd give the players that extra push to go again. So no, it's going to be a club effort on Saturday. We're going to need every one of us who's at that ground to contribute to hopefully get us to win.
Rallying call from Kieran McKenna there, as you mentioned earlier, Brian. They, like Argyle, have lost only the 1 game at home this season. Incredibly strong at Portman Road. The crowd obviously has a big influence on that. Were you played there, Portman Road?
I have, yeah.
Was it intimidating?
Yeah, it was actually. I had to do an awful job of going man-to-man on Kieran Dyer, which was the most
mismatch,
horrendous
mismatch.
Most horrendous experience after the game. I couldn't walk because I was so tired, but never mind. Let's not go there.
Yeah, let's quickly move on. Yeah. We're still waiting for the Papa John's Trophy semi-final draw, incidentally. When it is done, we will let you know. I'm sure you're absolutely waiting to find out who Argyle have got, the 1 game away from Wembley. Also, I'm just going to turn and look at here. Keep your predictions coming in on the comment section if you're watching on YouTube. Lots coming in, lots of positivity, as I said earlier, Brian. No one ever normally goes for a loss. 4-2 to Argyle, says PFC Charter Vlogs. Ads goes for a 2-1 Argyle win. Tobias, a little bit more conservative, 2-2. John Cohen, 2-1 Argyle win. I saw a 3-0 on there a moment ago. Maybe that's been deleted. That was very
goals
optimistic.
Goals is a theme then, is it?
Goals is a theme. Well,
yeah.
The top 2 scorers in the league. It's nailed on. Right, we're getting closer to kickoff. Let's have a little refresh of our team news, shall we? Both teams. We'll start with Argyle. 7 changes made from the Papa John's Trophy victory over Bristol Rovers. The players who have stayed in the side: Nigel Lonvike, Macaulay Gillespie and Ryan Hardy. Jay Matete is in from the start again now. We kind of spoke earlier, Brian, about that midfield area. Matete against Morsey, Evans and Randall. What did you make of Matete on Tuesday night? It was his first proper sort of outing.
Yeah, I thought there's I said in commentary, there's a few challenges, real 50-50 ones, and he won them very comfortably. I think he gets about the pitch, and he recycles the ball pretty well as well. He gets it, he gives it, keeps it simple. He doesn't do anything that, he doesn't do anything extraordinary on the ball, but he's the type of player that we probably need. And you're right, it's probably a really good matchup with Morsey in the middle of the park today. And Randall's, obviously, Randall's very good at getting the ball, moving it, because I think we're really good when we sort of move it from right to left or left to right really, really quickly. And we have that overload with the wing back and get those crosses in. So, yeah, those two have got a really important job to keep the ball moving and protect the back three.
Options on the bench as well, Argyle. Tariq Wright involved for the first time as an Argyle player since his arrival from Aston Villa last week. Let's have a look at the Ipswich side as well then. They've also made 7 changes. They beat Rotherham 4-1 in the third round of the FA Cup last weekend. Tie against Burnley to look forward to at home in a couple of weekends' time. Christian Walton comes back in goal, former Argyle youth player, of course. He had a spell on loan as well and almost scored, actually, didn't he, at Home Park? Right at the very end, up from the corner.
That's right, yeah.
Cooper had to make that save onto the bar. So we don't have that sort of heart-in-mouth sort of situation. But their new signing, George Hurst, the only of the 3 that have been brought in, he's the only one involved in the lineup or in the squad today. Does that surprise you a little bit? I mean, they spent 1.5 mil reportedly on Nathan Broadhead from Everton. He's not involved.
Yeah, but I think it would be, because obviously Ipswich have had a good season, so it'd be a pretty of a kick in the teeth to the players that have got them there so far. So I think maybe bringing them in, slowly but surely might be the theme there. But I thought they would have been on the bench at the very least, to be honest. I don't know Hurst. That's Dave Hurst's son, isn't it? Yeah, so he obviously good pedigree from Sheffield Wednesday days type thing. So yeah, they're a good squad, and for me, probably Chaplin's probably the most creative player in there, and he's obviously got player of the month. And for me, Harness was probably their best player on the day. I thought when they came to Home Park, I thought he was really dangerous. So yeah, they're a very good side, but so are we. So we have to just play our game and like they said, their manager said, we've just got to forget them and do our job really well.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot here, Brian.
Yeah.
And ask you which way are you leaning?
I think it's going to be a draw.
Okay.
I'm going for 1 each.
1 each, not the 2-2 that PFC Baz has gone for.
No, I'm going for 1 each.
1 each.
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, I want to win, but my head's telling me 1 each. My heart's telling me an Argyle win.
I'm going to chuck a couple of other stats at you. I know people love them. If we've got a little graphic to put up on the screen now. There you go. So these are this is the head-to-heads in big sort of moments. So third against first, fine. Similar in terms of games won. Ipswich have a game in hand on Argyle, so that could go higher. Exactly the same lost, almost the same scored. But that bottom point, Brian, I think is quite an interesting one. Ipswich have played against a top 6 once. Today is the first one that they're playing for the second time. Argyle have played against everybody once and then obviously played Bolton twice. Mm-hmm. There's a 10 points difference in how they've done against the other sides that are in and around them. Is that a telling stat?
It's a telling stat, yeah, 100%. If Argyle are influential and they can win the big games. I guess maybe the stats don't tell us is that was the Ipswich games against the top 6, were they away from home?
Well, let me tell you that, okay. Brian. I've got that to hand as well. So Ipswich played 1, 2, 3 of their 6 at 5 at home.
Yeah.
Whereas two were away, and Argyle have played the majority of theirs at home. So that is a telling.
Yeah.
point,
So that for me will play a part in it. But 100% Argyle can win the big games where there is marginal details. They're the ones who can get those strikes off on goal. We've been very clinical. And the one thing I said, and I say it when I do the commentaries, I think we're probably the most robust side in the league where we can win games different ways now. We can win games with real flair, but then we can dig out a result or score a couple of goals from long distance. Change games on its head, really, by being really clinical. So for me, it's probably one of the vast differences this year than compared to previous seasons.
And we saw that against Bolton last weekend. Just stay in the game, frustrate. we might see the same again today.
And the Wickham results as well.
And the Wickham, of course. Yeah.
For me.
Right, 15 minutes away from kickoff. Still no Papa John's Trophy semi-final draw, by the way. Sky Sports have teased it, so it's coming up next. We'll either bring it to you in this pre-match show or during the commentary. You can follow it and find out who we've got on our social media channels anyway. That's at Argyle on Twitter. Or you can find us on Facebook, Plymouth Argyle Football Club. Just before we get ready for commentary, let's have a look at the other games that are happening in the division. All but one fixture happening today. Actually, two fixtures, because the Morecambe game, I think, against Cambridge has been postponed. Saw that a little earlier on because of a waterlogged pitch. Port Vale, Peterborough play on Monday. But, Brian, a couple of, I suppose, standout ones. In particular, Sheffield Wednesday at Wickham, which is not going to be an easy game for them either.
100%. I was just looking at that myself, and I was thinking, Wednesday after their massive FA Cup win against Newcastle, are they going in there a bit complacent? Let's hope so. And, big game for them. But, looking at the other fixtures, but look, Argyle, as I say, just need to concentrate. We're so far ahead of the playoff positions now. It's just now trying to get, as you say, if we win today, 10 points, that's a massive gap. But 19, 20 games to go.
Oh, you're getting excited, Brian, like me.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Right, that is pretty much us done. Still no sign of the Papa John's Trophy draw just yet. So we'll have to bring you that during commentary. As it says, you can see it on our social media as well. If you are watching us overseas, outside of the UK, then you can stream this game live on Argyle TV. It will cost you £10 if you are a UK-based supporter and not one of the 2,000 up in Suffolk for this one. Then you can listen to commentary. Brian and I will bring it to you. £2.50. All of the streaming details, whatever your options, are available on our website, pafc.co.uk. Just click on the Argyle TV tab. Right, it's a big one. It could be a championship fixture next season. That's what both these sides will hope. At the minute, it's a top-of-the-table Sky Bet League 1 fixture. And Ipswich against Argyle is coming up next.
Deposit limits. That's betting better.